If I told you that one man killed so many people that he literally cooled the Earth's atmosphere, you probably wouldn't believe me. If I told you that 1 out of every 200 men alive today carries his DNA, you'd think I was lying. But this isn't a myth. This is the story of a slave who became a god. This is the story of Genghis Khan. And to understand him, you have to understand one thing. He didn't just conquer the world. He broke it and built a new one on top of the bones. But before he was the universal ruler, he was nothing. His birth name was Temüjin. And his life didn't start with a crown. It started with a death sentence. When he was just 9 years old, his father was poisoned by a rival tribe. In Mongol culture, a family without a father was useless. So, his own tribe didn't just exile them. They left them to die in the brutal winter of the steppe. Imagine a 9-year-old boy eating rats and roots just to survive. He was hunted like an animal. At one point, he was captured by his enemies and locked in a wooden collar, a heavy board around his neck, and treated as a slave. This was the moment that broke him. Or rather, it was the moment that forged him. He realized that in the steppe, mercy was a weakness. There were no laws, only power. When his own half-brother, Bektur, began hoarding food from the starving family, Temüjin didn't argue with him. He didn't fight him with fists. He and his younger brother stalked Bektur like a wolf pack and put an arrow through his chest. Temüjin was 13 years old. He had learned his first lesson: remove the competition. Permanently. But you can't conquer the world alone. To rise, he needed an army. He started by uniting the scattered tribes of Mongolia. But he didn't do it by asking nicely. He did it through a revolution. See, for thousands of years, leadership was based on bloodline. If your dad was a noble, you were a noble. Temüjin looked at that system and burned it down. He told his followers, "I don't care who your father is. I care if you can fight." He created a meritocracy. A shepherd could become a general if he was talented enough. This created an army that was fanatically loyal, not to a tribe, but to him. But there was one man standing in his way. Genghis, his blood brother. They had sworn an oath of eternal friendship as children. But power destroys everything. Genghis wanted the old ways. Temüjin was building something new. The war between them was personal. It was brutal. When Genghis defeated Temüjin early on, he boiled 70 of Temüjin's generals alive in cauldrons. This wasn't just war, it was psychological terror. But Temüjin played the long game. He waited. He rebuilt. And in 1204, he crushed Genghis. When they finally met face to face, Genghis asked for a noble death, to be killed without spilling blood. Temüjin honored it. He had his brother's back broken. In 1206, the tribes gathered. They gave him a new title, Genghis Khan, the Ocean King, the ruler of all men. Now, he turned his eyes toward the world. The Mongol army was a machine of pure destruction. They could ride for days without stopping, drinking the blood of their horses to survive. They could shoot arrows with sniper-like precision while galloping at full speed. But their greatest weapon wasn't the bow. It was fear. Genghis Khan gave cities a simple choice: submit and live, or resist and die. And he meant it. Look at the Khwarezmian Empire, modern-day Iran. Genghis sent a trade caravan to them, peaceful merchants. The local governor, arrogant and foolish, killed them and seized their goods. Genghis gave them one last chance. He sent 3 ambassadors to demand justice. The Sultan shaved the ambassadors' beards and sent them back. This was the biggest mistake in military history. Genghis Khan didn't just invade, he erased them. He diverted rivers to wash entire cities off the map. He piled skulls into pyramids. When they captured the governor who started it all, legend says Genghis poured molten silver into his eyes and mouth, screaming, "Since you love silver so much, have your fill." In less than 2 years, the Khwarezmian Empire didn't just fall, it ceased to exist. History estimates the Mongols killed so many people in these wars, up to 40 million, that forests grew back over the farmland, scrubbing 700 million tons of carbon from the atmosphere. He was a man-made natural disaster. But here is the paradox. The man who killed millions also created the safest empire in history. He established the Pax Mongolica. It was said that a virgin carrying a sack of gold could walk from one end of the empire to the other unharmed. He created the first international postal system. He outlawed torture in his own laws. He granted religious freedom to everyone. He was a monster to his enemies, but a visionary to his people. In 1227, Genghis Khan died. But even in death, he demanded secrecy. The soldiers who buried him killed anyone who saw the funeral procession. Then, they were killed by other soldiers. Then, 1,000 horses trampled the ground to hide the grave. To this day, no one knows where he is buried. He came from nothing. He conquered everything. And then, he vanished back into the earth, leaving a scar on the world that will never heal.